Hello everyone, my name is Eric Frohardt with Rost Martin, and today we're going to do a basic firearms lesson. A little bit about me. I was in the military for 12 years, most of which as a Navy SEAL. When I got out, I ran and owned a gun range in Denver, and then for a 3-year period, I was the Director of Training at the NRA. I've had a lot of experience training other people and teaching other people and developing curriculum, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to start with firearm safety. Safety is not separate from performing at a high level, it is part of it. What that means is as you get better at shooting, it is assumed that you're still performing safely. No one cares how fast or accurate you can shoot if you don't do it safely. These firearm safety rules are universal, and what that means is we follow all of them at all times. There's going to be 4 rules, and we don't get to pick and choose which of the 4 rules we want to follow in what circumstance. They transcend the circumstance and the scenario. These firearm safety rules are derived from law enforcement, military, professional shooting academies, professional shooters, and professional instructors. That's where they come from, and that's why we follow them. If they're good enough for those guys, they're good enough for us. Most importantly, let's remember, why are we carrying a gun? For most of us, we are carrying a gun because we're trying to protect ourselves or maybe even protect others. If we're not handling a gun safely while we're training or carrying, then we kind of defeat the purpose. The firearm safety rules are, number 1, we're going to treat all guns as if they're loaded at all times. Number 2, we're never going to point a gun at someone or something we're not willing to shoot. Number 3, our finger will stay off the trigger until we are ready to shoot. And number 4, we need to know our target and what is around it and beyond it. All right, so let's get into those 4 safety rules. Number 1, we're going to treat all guns as if they are loaded at all times. That means if we take the gun out of the safe, if we take the gun out of the range bag, if I take this gun out of my holster, I'm going to treat it as if it's loaded. And that helps feed us into the muzzle direction. Number 2, we're never going to point this gun at anything or anyone that we're not willing to shoot. Even though I know this gun is unloaded, I'm treating it like it's loaded, and when I'm on this range, I'm only going to be pointing it in this direction. So I'm going to be pointing it downrange at the targets or to the right and left flank where I have a berm. Under no circumstances am I going to point it up here, even though I know it's not loaded, because these firearms rules are universal and we follow all of them at all times. Number 3, most commonly violated rule is the finger on the trigger, and you'll see this especially with beginners. So what that means is I don't want my finger to go to the trigger until I'm ready to shoot. So again, we have a safe direction this way, safe direction that way, and a safe direction that way. I have a gun here in my holster. It is clear and safe. I'm going to verify that. I'm going to be pointing sideways at the berm here. And what that means with my finger, I'm going to make sure it stays up on the frame. And when I'm ready to shoot, it's going to visit the trigger briefly. I'm going to do my thing. And when it's done, it's going to come back up here on the frame. And then number 4, I want to know my target and what is beyond and what is around it. This is a sterile, square range training environment. Our targets today are going to be cardboard and steel. We need to know what's going on around that target at all times. So if something or someone was to walk behind those targets, we would want to call ceasefire. In a self-defense or a real-world situation, if you need to use your firearm and there are people around and behind, you need to be aware of that. Let's say you have a gun in your home for home defense, right? It's important to realize maybe that your walls are drywall or plaster or whatever, and it's important for you to know if you miss your target, right, that bullet's going to keep going, okay? Just a couple of examples of knowing your target and what is beyond and what is around it. So those are the 4 safety rules. Again, it is assumed no matter how good you get at shooting that you are following those safety rules. They transcend the situation, they are universal, and we have to make sure that we are safe at all times because we're carrying a gun to keep ourselves and our families and others safe.